Welcome to the Andy and Friends podcast. I'm your friend Andy, and joining me on the show today is the hobbyist miner. He has almost 75,000 subscribers on YouTube, and his crypto mining farm makes $7,000 a month right now. So at this stage, he might have graduated from being just a hobbyist to the real deal. In this episode, I want to talk to him about the current state of mining with crypto, if it's too late for people to join, what he sees coming for crypto over the next year, and what opportunities we should be paying attention to. So, welcome to the episode and the podcast, Hobbyist Miner.
Thank you for having me, man. That's quite the intro. I feel honored, man. You just went through that rap sheet. I'm like, all right, cool. I want to talk to this guy too. Let's go.
These are all things about me.
I know. That's right. 100%.
Well, to start, I think before I jump into anything of material value, I'm just curious.
Sure.
We've met in person, we've talked via the internet over the past couple of years. We've gone through this whole crypto bear market, and now that we seem, and unless I'm mistaken, we seem to be emerging on the other side of it. I'm curious, as someone who's been in the thick of it for a couple of years, what this feels like, how this has been for you.
This is exciting. It feels a little surreal, like a little, I'm not sure, a lot of people define the bull run as, when Bitcoin hits its all-time high. And we are like, as you know, over the last 2 weeks, we have really teetered on that edge and it's been so close. And so a lot of people are like, well, we haven't hit it yet. We haven't hit it yet. And I'm like, I'm already there. I'll be honest with you. My portfolio's looking pretty good. My miners are doing even better. We are absolutely there. But for me, this was my first bear market, and I actually came in during the very beginning of the last bull market. So I can now say I have experienced a full crypto bull run and bear market. Bear market's not fun. It's not very profitable. However, I have learned, and my wife and I are kind of on this journey together, we have learned it is 100% worth mining throughout the bear market, because right now is where we are seeing the fruits of our labor, where we put our heads down, we built our bags, we tried out some spec coins, and man, some of them have done amazing and some of them have been a flop. But you know what? You just need 1 in 10. 1 in 10 of them, you just need to be successful. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
I'm curious, given that was kind of your first full bear market to go through, and you've committed a lot of money and time and resources to this entire enterprise, what was it that what kept you going? Like, why did you continue going through this slugfest, this entire bear market to now have the rewards, but what pushed you through?
Yeah, I think there's two things. The first thing was having a YouTube channel absolutely helped. It kind of held you accountable to continuing through that market. It didn't mean that I needed to, make my videos absolutely slowed down on the amount of rigs I was building or the amount of hardware I might have been buying. Granted, that might be a little bit of a mistake because I bought a lot of hardware during the bear market, believe it or not, because it was so cheap. It was like dirt cheap. But I would say, YouTube definitely kept me accountable to powering through, educating, talking about it, especially talking about yield, talking about speculation. And then on the flip side, I think it was talking to a lot of people that are more experienced than I am. Others that are like, hey, this is their second or third cycle, and they have preached mine during that bear market because you will reap the benefits on the other side. So I think it was kind of those two items.
So, crypto mining is one of these things that, it's got this promise of passive income. It's got this
Mm-hmm.
promise of I'm going to be rich, with these
Yep.
machines in my house or whatever. And it's the thing that back in 2014 compelled me to get into crypto. I built my Litecoin mining rig back then, and I failed miserably at it. And it's also the thing that really pushed me again in 2017 to jump back into the space and try again. And that time I had more success. Still made a lot of mistakes, but learned some valuable things. So it's been this kind of thing that's been introducing me to this space and giving me this little bit of excitement that I can earn some passive income and stuff. So I'm sure that that's going to happen again, where there's going to be a big inflow of people coming into this space because it's a very attractive thing. It's like I have a computer at home, I make money. What more could you want out of life? So I'm curious, as someone who is basically like a full-time professional miner, at this stage in the market, as we're looking at a bull run, hopefully on the precipice of one, is it too late to start? Like if you're starting from zero, is it a bad idea to consider this stuff?
Absolutely not. I think it is a fantastic time to get in. I think honestly, any moment is a great time to get in. Would it have been better to get in a year ago? 100%. A year and a half ago? Yep, even better. And the reason I say that is because during the bear market is really the ideal time to get in. Um, you know, if you had the opportunity, that if you thought about it then and wished you would have, or you really should have, because prices of hardware was low, and most of the crypto that you would be interested in, the yields were high. And those not familiar, yields just meaning you could mine a lot more at that time. There was a lot less people on the current chain. Just it was a great opportunity to build your bags. That's what you hear a lot of during the bear market. The bear market is ideally for building bags. That is like if I could really give that to anybody, it's like spec mining and kind of building those bags up, jumping between things and things like that. Where we are now, go ahead.
And sorry, for those who don't know what spec mining is, can you explain that too?
Absolutely. So spec mining is speculation mining, and pretty much what that is a new coin comes out or a coin that's been around for a while, and you decide to mine it, not knowing if that is going to be worth 0 in a month or 2 cents in a month, but maybe it's going to be worth $2 in a few years. Like you never really know. So a lot of the times people will spec mine during a bear market on coins that just come out. Oh, this coin literally just came out 10 days ago. Great. I'm going to put a miner on it for a week, build a little bag, jump onto the next coin, jump on the next coin. And you're not really looking at like, oh, how much money am I making? How much electric am I using? You're really looking at just, I want to diversify my portfolio with a bunch of projects because as I said previously, you really just need 1 of 10 of those to balloon and do really, really well.
We've both had quite a bit of success with Caspa, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Caspa is a great example of what you were just saying, because it's something we both speculatively mined, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also something that the only way you could get it was mining at first. Because when
Yeah.
I first got into Caspa, it was before it was ever listed on an exchange.
Yeah.
The only way you could get it was either someone sells you like an over-the-counter deal, and you hope you can have like a escrow or like a third party, so you can make it,
Mm-hmm.
get scammed, or you mine the thing. And so that's one of the reasons why I love talking about mining is because I feel like it gives people opportunities that they couldn't otherwise get. But also, maybe you can speak to this. If you were to like just throw some money at some spec coin, if you were able to get some early on, it goes to 0. You've got nothing left over. But if you spend that same money on like a mining rig, yeah, the coin you mine might go to 0, but you still have a resource like that
Correct.
can mine other things, or you could sell it in the future. I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, 100%. That is something that is made, especially when I got started 3 years ago, GPU mining it was right up that avenue. Now, I understand GPU mining is not for everybody. It has a little bit higher of a skill ceiling when it comes down to the technicalities of it, but it absolutely gives you the ability to diversify. One moment you could be mining Caspa with your GPU mining rigs. The next moment, a project called Neoxa. And, once you can kind of move around as you really want to, and that's really what makes it so appealing. But at the end of the day, you could still take those graphics cards from your GPU mining rig and resell them. And that's something that I think a lot of people will naturally, who one really can't grasp that, will just buy the coin. Well, absolutely, you could. You could just buy that crypto if you wanted to. But how about you buy the hardware that can then mine a little bit of everything? It definitely puts you in a much better place. And I always think that is a really good way to go. GPU mining, if you have the time and the patience, is a massively rewarding because you learn, you tinker, you play with it, and then as time goes on, if you could build a successful GPU mining rig, you can use any of this other mining hardware. It all just kind of falls in line. So yeah, that is definitely a really good way to go. And I love it. I think that's the reason why I continue to buy mining hardware. And as I was talking about before, it was like, man, during my bear market, great example, and Andy and I always kid about this. I had one full-size ASIC miner, which was dedicated to Bitcoin mining. That's all it mines. SHA-256, last bull run. During the bear market, I've bought in 21 now, I guess. I guess we're at 21 of those units. And it's not because I fell into money somewhere in there. It was because last bull market, those were going for $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 each. Now, similar miners around the same ballpark. Some of them are $2,000, $3,000, like significantly cheaper. And so maybe that's the miner in me who's like, wow, I know what it looks like on the flip side. I'm going to buy them. But just like Andy had said, it's not just because I want to mine more and be building my bags more, but it's also because I have the ability to then flip that hardware. And that could be even more profitable than what I mine.
Okay, I want to talk about that last thing you just said in more detail, but first, one kind of thought came across my mind. We talk about. I mean, you're talking about GPU mining, and doing this tinkering. It is a bit more technical, and that's something that I've enjoyed. Obviously, you enjoy it. I mean, did you have a big technical background before getting into that? If somebody doesn't have like, if they're not a techie kind of person, can they still learn it? Like, what is the buried entry?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've been in the IT industry for about 20 years now, and so totally up my avenue. I've been building my own computers and things like that, so it came very easy to me. Motherboard, CPU, memory, video card, power supply, it's all the same. The only difference is with a mining rig, a little bit different about a motherboard most of the time, and you use some risers to slot things in. That being said, there's a higher barrier to entry, absolutely, with GPU mining, and I find some of my most successful videos are like how to build a basic GPU mining rig because people want to get in on it. And those are usually the people that have zero to none technical background. And so they're really trying to grasp like, what does this do? What does that do? So I always actually tell people to shy away from GPU mining if they're just getting into like they have no technical background and they're like, hey, I could turn a wrench all day, but I got no clue what you're talking about. And so I actually push them more towards mini box miners, inexpensive, cheaper mini box miners. And the reason I do that is because right now, even box miners are cheap, under 500 bucks. It can get you in and it can teach you the basics. How to set up a pool. What is a pool? How to get, how to put in your wallet, looking at, your revenue and your profit and your electric usage. So you can kind of do all that without getting into it too much versus you go and you build a mining, GPU mining rig, you're probably in it for much more than 500 bucks. And it's not you could be sitting with a pile of hardware getting super frustrated on like, I don't know why this doesn't work. I don't get it versus just like, this is a little box unit and it's 5 easy steps and you're ready to go.
Yeah, I like the plug and play machines. I mean, do they always make sense financially from like a return standpoint? No, not necessarily, but there's such a great like way to like learn the ropes. But counter argument to what I just said, they can have good returns and stuff if you pick the right things
Yeah.
at the right time. Like I had one of my little mini box miners that was like a $700 or $800 miner, and I put it on a coin I was speculating on, and I mined it for 9 months or so during the bear market, and that bag of coins that thing mined is worth like $5,000 or $6,000 now. Which is that a lot compared to some of the other wins I've had with different types of mining that are much more extensive? No, but it's still like it's a $600 unit, and maybe I spent $1,000 in aggregate over 9 months running that in electricity. So it's like a huge win. So what you said at the end of the previous bit there was talking about this idea of flipping the hardware, and this is one of my favorite things about mining. I think I think everybody sleeps on this. I think not enough people pay attention to it, and I think you have potential to make some serious money. So maybe you can talk a little bit about like the idea of like, what you plan to do with some of this hardware in the bull run, and like why that's even compelling to consider getting it now for later, and
Yep.
like shorter term thinking with some of that hardware and stuff.
Yeah, so that is one of the more attractive items with mining is that your hardware traditionally and most of the time holds its value or goes up. Um, I I have learned one of the lessons I've learned going through my first bull market and bear market is don't spend a lot during the bull market. Spend most of your your rainy day fund that you want to spend smart. Wait till the bear market. And I know it's a lot of hard. It's hard for people, but it's exactly what I was saying earlier. Like 15, 16, $17,000 for one 100 terahash, Bitmain Antminer S19J Pro is now you can get them used for like 500 bucks, like 5, 6. It's like crazy. So being able to actually buy that hardware during the bear market, I actually know of somebody who literally has a storage unit and they just buy hardware and put it away. They don't mind. They're just an
Amazing.
investor. They're just an investor. They buy crypto and they buy the hardware. They don't mind with it. And you might be like, wait, why not? Well, the fact is they might, you got to think of it. running a miner causes you to have operating expenses. It's an electric. It is your biggest operating expense as a miner across the board, whether you're hosting like Andy does, which I've started to step into, or you're running it at home. And so on the flip side of that, that's tough. It's expensive. I have $2,500 electric bills every month. Like, that's no joke. However, that hardware that I have now, I don't plan to hold on to. Like, when the opportunity arises, I will liquidate and repurchase. Liquidate and repurchase. Because you know what? I might buy that miner for $3,000, and possibly in the bull run, let's say it's worth 15. That's an investment, folks. Like, it is an asset at the end of the day. And when that asset appreciates, I have no problem liquidating it. I am not emotionally tied to them at all.
One of the examples I like to give from the last cycle was when the Bitmain S19 first launched. And you could buy it brand new as the first model, the 90 terahash or whatever it was, or 80 terahash. It launched at a price of $2,000. You could just buy them all day long for $2,000, brand new, never before released. And then at peak bull market, which you've already alluded to this, I remember going on some of the big reseller sites, and I saw those same units selling for between $20,000 to $25,000 each.
Crazy.
And what's wild about that is such a weird opportunity that I don't think exists in other like segments of like investables, because you can buy it cheap, and if you time it right, you can sell it for a lot more, but you can also use it if you choose to the entire time in between and stack the coin. And then when you sell the thing, you keep all the stuff you mined along the way, which is potentially worth even more than the thing you sold. Like, it's just such a weird like opportunity that I don't know that I see elsewhere. So what's your plan around it? Like, will you exit
Mhm.
all your hardware, most of your hardware? Do you have like a kind of a vision for what that looks like in this bull run?
Sure. So, most likely my oldest is where I'll start first. And for me, I actually sent most of my older stuff away for hosting because it was less efficient. So a lot of like I have three 100 terahash units. Those are away for hosting. I have like a Canon Avalon 110. It's away for hosting. These are units that were like, there were better units slowly coming out during the last bull run, and now they're significantly better. I mean, you got 100 terahash there versus like the S21 is like 200 terahash, or the M60 is like
For the
170,
same wattage.
180.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is where I've started to send some of those units away to get hosted. And now, granted, part of that has also been from content perspective. I'm done making content on those units. Those are older units. I've really made a ton of content on them. I'm not going to make any more content. So that's also part of it. But yeah, my goal is to really look at the next bull run, because when I stepped in, I was just getting into it. I was buying very low end GPUs, 4 GB. Couldn't even mine Ethereum, but I didn't know any better. I was like, I'm stepping into this. I got no capital. I'm just going to make a YouTube channel with some GPUs. It actually took a year before I bought my first 6 GB graphics card, which means I was eligible to mine Ethereum. So for my first year, I was not even mining the most profitable coin out there for GPU miners. So that being said, now going into the bull run, it's like, oh, I'm going to have a decent amount of hardware. I mean, to the point now where like I got hardware, like even like this stuff sitting behind me over here. These are gold shell mini box miners, and like where they would have went for $500 in the last bull run to buy brand new, during the bear market, 50, $100 maybe. I'm just going to hold on to those and take the gamble of trying to sell them for something during the height of the bull run. But I got loads of hardware where it's sitting around, and it's not because I don't want to mine with them. It's because I'm just out of power. Like, I am out of power, so now I'm just stuck in hardware right now. Like, that's kind of where I am. So yeah, I definitely will start with the oldest and then work my way to the newest, most likely, moving forward.
And I think that along with this whole idea of like flipping the hardware and having the hardware and stuff, but also just utilizing it, and the older, hardware, there's more efficient stuff coming out. I get tons of comments. I'm sure you get tons of
Yep.
comments. People just have this misconception around a lot of this stuff, and they think if I buy it now, it's as soon as the new models come out and these are efficient, then those old ones are completely useless and they're worth way less. And these machines only depreciate. And yeah, over the long haul, the machines do typically depreciate, but they have cycles where they go up in value a lot. And if the price of Bitcoin goes high enough, even multiple generation old machines can become insanely profitable out of nowhere. So I think that there's a lot of like misinformation around this stuff, unfortunately, and people don't realize what kind of longer term viability looks like. And it's also completely like cycle dependent.
Mhm.
But I'm curious, of all the things that you run right now, you got GPUs and ASICs and maybe even some FPGAs still. I don't know. What are some of your favorite machines you're running at the moment?
Hmm. Um, I think GPUs are definitely some of my favorite just because of the ability to flip things. One moment I'm mining Chlor and the next minute Mirai. I mean, those have really been my really bigger success stories during this bear market as the market has rebounded is mining some of these spec plays. And I mean, even in the Sleep Money Club, talking about, hey, I just bought this. And, a lot of the things that I've done during this bear market is like buy $250 of something and then start mining it. Like I kind of kickstart that journey and then start mining it. And I think these success stories and why I favor the GPUs more than anything is just having that opportunity. It's like, all right, one week I could mine Chlor, the next Mirai, and then kind of really pivot through that. I think GPUs definitely. I mean, the hard part is like many people may look at this and go, well, GPUs have been. You barely made their profitability is like close to nothing. It's cents per day, especially during the bear market. And I don't disagree with you. However, running those and just not even looking like I during this bear market, one thing I learned was like completely ignore profitability. Don't even look at the day-to-day profit on these things. I was really looking at like when the next bull run is, how big is that bag? And that's turned out great. I took $250 and running some GPUs for, a year into several $1,000s is what those are worth right now. Now, granted, I mine plenty of things that are worth nothing right now. Like I get it 100%. ASICs have really been the most day-to-day profitable for me, ranging from 10 up to 20. Now some of them are $30 right now. Some of the bigger Caspa ones, 60. I mean, I got one now, the KS3M. It's like $65 a day. It's insane. And yeah, but at the end of the day though, I'm stuck with what I'm mining. So I think GPU is definitely for me.
Yeah, I've certainly, at least today, we'll see how this bull run goes, but through the last cycle, I've made most of my money when it comes to mining with GPU. So just so versatile, and a lot of stuff when it first launches that you can mine it with GPUs before you can mine it with anything else. Again,
Caspa's a
we
great
talked about
example there.
Caspis. Yep.
Yeah, a great example. I mean, I came into Caspa later than a lot of other people that I know that got into it. The hard part is like what I tell people is you can't mine at everything. So like every time there's a project that launches, it's not like I gotta get some. I gotta get some. Like I played that game early on in the bear market and I got tired of it. Now the Caspa, one of the very few success stories where it launched quite 2 years ago. I think it was. I think it was 21
2 years. Yeah.
maybe. And it launched and wasn't anything special. I would say within the last year plus, people have really jumped on it GPU wise, mined bags of it. A lot of people sold early, like yourself. You sold a lot early on when it got to 1 to 2 cents. Some people at 4 cents, but now really a lot of that success. I mean, Caspa has not only came in with GPU mining, been successful, and then was so much hash rate that GPUs became obsolete. People moved on to ASICs, and now even with the ASICs, the profitability per day is still phenomenal. So Caspa is one of few success stories, I think.
Of the GPUs you're running right now, what are the ones you're trying to acquire right now, or if you're a
Hmm.
new person looking to get into this, which one should they be looking at?
Yeah, I never like to go after the latest generation. Um, I really like to focus on the previous generation before that. At least, that's something I've learned during the bear market. I've acquired most of my GPUs during the bear market, more than what I had. I've at least doubled, and I hope to triple as power becomes available. Really, 3070s really for me on the Nvidia side of the world. They are just great all around graphics cards. Now, some people may make the argument of like, oh well, for a few bucks more, you could go with the 4000 series. You could. But for me, I really focus on the 3070s. You can find loads of them on secondhand sites. And then on the flip side of that for AMD, really looking at 6600 XTs. Very efficient, especially right now. A lot of the algorithms that people are mining are something called a Kapow algorithm. And a lot of these coins out there, Kapow algorithm is very intensive for these GPUs, and the 6600 XTs are just super efficient and really handle them well. So that's pretty much if you were an AMD fanboy or Nvidia, those are the kind of the two sides of the world I go with.
And maybe you've already answered it with a few of the things we've talked about here, but I'm curious. So far, I mean, it's still early, mind you. We haven't seen the full bull run, so maybe these
Nope.
things haven't shown themselves yet. But I wonder what are the things you mined during the bear market that have been maybe one or two the biggest wins you've experienced so far from mining thus far in this year?
I'm looking up at my screen here because I actually have my portfolio on a television, and
Nice,
I
nice.
monitor it all day long. So I'm like, all right, let's take a look. It's like a little reminder. So for me, um, two success stories that have worked out very well for me. The first one was Helium Mobile, which I know Helium didn't work out great for everybody, but for me, it absolutely did. Helium Mobile, for those not familiar, is very much a radio antenna type that you would put outside. For me, it was putting outside my home. It was a larger unit, and it participates within the network. You pretty much get paid. It's a DePIN project, and Andy talks all about DePIN all the time, but you're paid to participate. That's pretty much what it is. You're not necessarily mining, but it is within the crypto sphere. And I got mine set up. I bought one in Florida. There was a site that like you could buy them that were pre-set up. And then I installed mine here and had a great success story of just letting it run through months and months and months through the bear market. My one in Florida was like a year and a half. And then December 17th, I remember it to this day. It had its all-time high and went up. And I cashed out half of that. And at that same time, another DePIN project, HiveMapper, cashed out half of it on that day and rolled it right into Solana. Well, next week, Solana ballooned as well. And so all of them were on that Solana network. So I was able to kind of manipulate them, transfer them there. And I never was a Solana holder. Now Solana is my largest holding in my bag, bigger than Bitcoin, all because of that. And I'm no stranger to Bitcoin. I mean, I got 10, 11, 12 different Bitcoin miners now. So like, I'm no stranger to Bitcoin, but yes, that was one of my bigger success stories. And it was just like that. Literally Helium Mobile was worth 0.000, like whatever zeros you could think about. It was worth like, not, fractions of a penny. And that just slowly moved to decimal place as the weeks went on and worked out really well for me. So that was probably, with those projects, just rolling them in, heads down, letting them run, were probably one of my bigger success stories. I mean, I have a full video on it, just being completely transparent on it. And that's worked out really well for me.
Awesome. Yeah. For those who don't know, DePIN, DEPIN, stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. And yeah, they are definitely something that me and hobbyists both have enjoyed exploring. And it's been a big part of my portfolio. Lots of wins. Man, what Hive Mapper is just one of those that everyone I've talked to got in early enough. $300 camera, and a member of my community, a Sleep Money Club, has cashed out enough of his honey tokens that he paid for his entire wedding with
That's
Hive Mapper
awesome.
rewards.
That's an awesome
Isn't that
memory
so
too,
cool?
to be like, I
Yeah.
paid for that with crypto. Like that's a
Yeah, but
huge
like
win.
these $300 camera making some people $500 to $1,000 per week. It's just like what kind of crypto just offers some just crazy opportunities you can't find anywhere else. If you're willing to try some stuff out and experiment with some various things and get in early enough. Uh, I know you haven't had your 20 or 20 plus Bitcoin ASICs running for the entire bear market. You've kind of been building it over the bear market. But are at this stage, have they all collectively, have you mined more than one full coin now with them?
I don't think quite yet, just about. I've really ramped up, I would say, my Bitcoin miners over the last 7 months or so. And like I just bought another one the other day, and I'm actually tempted to buy three more, to be honest with you. But I have no like I don't have the power to run them. And it's also one of those like, do I host them? Do I just put them away, to resell? Like I mean, seriously, I mean the S19K Pro you can get for $1,700 right now. It like blows my mind. I'm like just like it's so hard for I don't know, it's bad. It's bad, Andy. It's bad because it's like, man, like these things are so cheap. But yeah, no, not quite yet. I have used one of the things I did early on during the bear market was I shouldn't say make a mistake, but I did liquidate Bitcoin in order to expand my farm. And it's paid off. I mean, overall, it's absolutely paid off, which has been great. I mean, my goal during the bear market was to expand my farm. So during the bull market, I wasn't really buying anything. I mean, you're not going to find me buying these $20,000 or $30,000 ASIC miners, as we get into it. I'm like, nope, I'm good. Like, absolutely not. So, making it work for me, I think has been best. And I think that's really where I've gone. So to answer your question, I have not. I don't know that I've tracked it close enough, but I'm not. I have not mined it with those a full Bitcoin with those yet.
Well, when you do, let me know. We'll celebrate because
Ah,
that's
you
a pretty
go.
cool
Yep.
milestone. Man, the yeah, S19Ks, those are such a good value in my opinion, and don't quote me on this, and who knows what the actual future looks like, but I imagine they will do very well value-wise, over the next, 6 to 12 months. If Bitcoin goes to 100,
Oh
$150,000,
yeah.
then people it's one of the more efficient models available, and, yeah, I think it'll be a pretty good multiplier. I'm personally, I'm thinking about getting 5 more S21s here pretty soon.
Good for you.
S21s are just man, they are so killer when it comes to their efficiency and just how much they return, and the fact that
Hmm.
even at, like, 8 cent per kilowatt hour at this Bitcoin price, they are very profitable post-halving.
Yes.
So are you looking to add any more S21s as well?
Yeah, so S21s I definitely have my eye on as well. That's also like an avenue I can go. Like as much as the S19K Pros, I'm also like, do I just buy another S21? I got one when they first came out. They were about 5,500 when they first came out. What are they running for now? What have you seen them at? And what
It's over 6 grand, yeah.
Okay, so it has gone up in that regard. Yeah, so
Yep.
it's definitely something I have my eye on because they are almost, I don't want to say they're having proof because it really comes down to where Bitcoin's price is. However, if Bitcoin continues going up at the price it is now, it is pretty much having proof where you'll still be doing very well if you're cutting that in half, your reward in half. So those are definitely the avenue to go. Somebody who I enjoy talking to and talking strategy, DJ Minds, he is very much an advocate of buying the latest model. So like if you're going to buy a Bitcoin miner, you're buying the best one at that moment. You're not going with one that's 2 or 3 generations removed. And I do think that's a good rule of thumb. They are significantly more expensive. However, you're ahead of that curve. You're not in the set, you're not mining against and with people that are double your hash rate. And so I think there is something to be said for that.
Yeah, and you already touched on this a little bit just a moment ago. I think really important thing too is, you were talking about how you didn't even consider profitability during the bear market and stuff, and that is definitely a big critique. I'm sure you get it. You have to get it a
Yep.
lot. I get it a lot. People, 3 to 6 months ago, I was posting my Bitcoin mining updates and other updates, and
Oh,
they're like, this isn't worth it. The returns are, aren't you're going to take forever. It's like 5+ years for you to make all your money back. And I think something we both do well, and I think I would love for other people to just kind of learn this ability, which is to be an optimistic investor, an
mm,
optimistic miner, and to be able to have kind of a longer term view. Because uh, just 4 months ago, all of my machines, which I don't know if I had all 20 of them at that point, but I had either 18 or 19 of them in profit per month. We're making like $3,000 to $3,500 per month in Bitcoin.
mm-hmm.
Fast forward 4 months, and right now, in total revenue, it's like 9 grand a month with all of
That's
them running.
fantastic.
But
Yep.
it like profits like 7,600
Yep.
or something like that. 70. It's
Yep.
just like what a difference just a couple of months. That's the thing I try to stress with people a lot. And maybe you have some other thoughts on this, but it's just the amount. It's just the ability to think a little bit beyond the here and now makes all the difference when it comes to like stuff like mining.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that come in that are traditional investors. So like they're looking more at I buy X and is it going to produce Y? And like the crazy thing for me is like, man, you're a traditional investor and you've been playing the S&P 500 or you've been playing traditional markets and it's like how's that been working out for you? That's what I kind of like to tell these people like how's that mindset working out for you of like I invest this now and based off of a 10-year track record, this will increase and I'm like, how's that going for you? You know? And I think that is really where I like I I like to tell people like I do not look at return on investment. When I buy that Bitcoin miner for $1,700, I'm not like how long before I make that back. I'm more like I wonder how much Bitcoin that's going to put away for me in the next 3 years. I can't wait. I'll find out. Moving on to the next thing. Like I instantly am just like that is a money printing machine. That's exactly what that is. Those are money printers. Um, and so, I know how it feels to be Jerome Powell then, with those things. And, it is very much the mindset of, I'm not looking at day to day profit. I'm not looking at revenue. I'm really just looking at this machine will make me money in this avenue and let it sit and run. And the nice thing is like it really just I think it's because I think I have more faith in the cycles, being able to experience even just one bull run and one bear market. It's like I know what that bull run looks like. It's amazing. You can plug in anything and you're making money. So if you can really hang through that bear market and come out the other side, it's definitely worth it. But it doesn't work for everybody like that. And I think the reason that's worked, I think for me, is because I should say it's play money, but um, I'm not leveraging myself into a place that is going to, if I was to lose that all today, all right, it sucks, but I've lost it and I move on and I'm good. I think the challenge is like people put everything into their investments. And I think that's really where the challenge is like, then things drop by 10% and they're freaking out. It's like, all right, well, wait till it drops to 50% because it's going to be, so I think that's where my mindset really comes from.
Overextension is such a terrible trap that so many fall into. I mean, if you're taking money that you need to pay your rent or buy your
Mm-hmm.
groceries or do whatever, and you're spending it on the stuff, you gotta like wise up real quick because it's so volatile and it's crazy. I think something that both of us enjoy with like mining, especially, is the future is not known. It's like ROI. What's the calculation? Good luck. The variables
Yeah.
change every day,
Remember when it
but
said never?
the
A lot of these calculators would say never, like at the beginning of the
yeah.
bear market.
Yeah. But that's part of the fun is like it's an experiment to see what the actual end result is because, if I based on calculations when I first got into Bitcoin mining, I shouldn't be, close to break even right now. I shouldn't be fully in profit. I shouldn't have earned all my initial investment back, but I have. A year and a half, well, a year and a few months into it I have because the market did things I could not have possibly predicted. But the opposite could have happened. So you have to be someone who has to get a thrill, I guess, from
Yeah.
the bit of uncertainty. It's a little bit of a gamble to it and a little bit of like a risk bet there. But I think it's backed up by if you do it in a smart way and if you know the actual hardware and things you buy have some place in the future market, there's some safety there too. What maybe it's, not specific coins or project, or maybe it is, or maybe it's just specific hardware decisions you made, but I'm curious what you think, some of your current biggest wins are. What do you think your biggest wins will be in, like, 9 to 12 months?
Mm. So I've always been funny thing. I've been an advocate for last bull run. I was always like, man, Cadena is going to be the silver to Bitcoin. Saying it, and man, that has been tough. It's been a tough 2 years for anybody who's a Cadena fanboy. However, just within the last few weeks, Cadena has really taken off again, and that has really felt like that has been people. That's like a 2 year thing. Like this, has been like a 2 year thing. Like I think the challenge is like go back a little bit to what you talked about with ROI. If you truly think Bitcoin is going to stick at its current price for the next 5 years, like crypto's not for you. But even traditional investing isn't for you. I mean, investing just isn't for you overall because that price is not going to stay the same. Things will fluctuate. Um, so with ROI, man, I always write off ROI so quick. However, back to what you were talking about there. Cadena is definitely one where I have quite a bit of faith in that now. I bought up a few K3s into that. I got some NFTs into that as well. So I'm looking to Cadena for opportunity, which I think will be good. I have built most of the flux that I built was actually in the bull run. I didn't build a ton of flux during the bear market. I had some Nimbus nodes out there, and those have, of course, accumulated more flux. But like, I haven't had any rigs on flux in I can't remember how long. However, my bag is pretty significant. Flux is in my top four right now of where I've accumulated. I know for you, flux is very heavy in your portfolio as well. So yeah, those are definitely looked at. I'd say my final one there is probably Neoxa. And that's thanks to Mr. Andy here. I've mined a significant amount of Neoxa. And actually, this goes back to our conversation we were talking about before. I liquidated Bitcoin to buy into Neoxa nodes, into Neoxa smart nodes. And that has been a fantastic play. I wish I would have got in earlier when I saw Andy buying 10 of them at Mining Disrupt. But I think it's like, okay, just continue making my money work for me. And I have cashed out very, very little crypto overall in the last 3 years. Most of it I've just continued to reinvest, reinvest, reinvest.
I love that. Yeah. And, you talk about Cadena like that. Flux was one where
Yeah.
it found its bear market bottom of like 30 cents and then just stayed there forever. And everything's pumping like crazy, and Flux is just kind of like chilling. But it
Mhm.
finally has woken up a bit, and it shot,
Yep.
up over a dollar finally. So that was a really good feeling, like just like my bag of Cadena, which I've held too long probably, and I've
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
watching that one
Yep.
finally wake up again. So okay, you talked about a few of that you think are going to be big wins in this bull run, but just across your, the various machines and GPUs you're running right now, what are the things that you're currently right now mining?
Whew, that's a that's a loaded question right there. So I think so. Starting at the top, my most profitable miner is actually one I just got in, which is an Ice River KS3M. It does roughly about $65 a day before electric. Thankfully, they're pretty efficient, so that works out well. I do have multiple Bitcoin miners in there, as we talked about. Most of my ASICs that are there, most of my profitable ones there. L7s for Dogecoin. Very heavy on Dogecoin. I mined Dogecoin with the L7s throughout the entire bear market. So as Dogecoin has been pumping recently, it's been a huge win for me. I'm like, let's go, $1. Heck yeah, keep it. So have those running, and I'm actually not even getting Litecoin with those. I have those on a mineable, getting paid out in all Dogecoin. Like, just give it to me.
Love it.
Yeah, which has been good. Outside of there, I have a D9 on Dash, some E9 Pros Ethereum Classic in there. I'm kind of like thinking through my like shed, like what do I got where, my sheds type of deal. As I talked about the K3s that are there. So I think that's most of the ASICs within there. As I said, I think I'm at 22. Andy and I go back and forth on where we are and how many we're at. And then GPU mining rigs, I'm roughly right under 100 graphics cards mining right now. Everything I got's mining. I don't. All my graphics cards are mining 100%. That has really varied in part of the benefits of mining. So I mean, through the bear market, we've done Ergo, we've done Flux, we've Neoxa, Lithium, Dogecoin, or I'm sorry, Neoxa, Lithium, Caspo. We were early on there. Trying to think what else is in there. A little bit, a little bit of everything. I think it's the nice thing about GPU mining and having multiple rigs is like you can kind of diversify, and kind of spread things out. But then I got all different miners out there. Box miners. Some of them I got running. What was the one there? Scicoin's been going. Oh, another big one. K7 with CKB. That's been pumping like crazy. That one's making like $38 a day. I can't complain one bit. So yeah, so a little bit of everything, and then I got my DePIN projects running. Dymo, Hive Mapper we talked about. Helium. So yeah, a little bit. That's why I said it's a loaded question. It's like, man, I got too much hardware, to be honest with you. I need to kind of simplify this down a little bit, I think, at some point.
I love it. I love it. What so in your portfolio right now, what are your top 5 positions?
So Solana, here I need to look because that screen just crashed on me. Geez, Andy, you just their timing is impeccable. Let me load it up real quick here because
I did that on
I
purpose.
that's right. I want to make sure I list them all outright. So Solana is my top, then Flux, then Caspa. I haven't sold any of my Caspa. I've held all my Caspa. And then Helium Mobile, and then finally Bitcoin. And just for
Wow.
those interested, underneath of Bitcoin is Clore and Dogecoin, and then Cadena. So I'm in. I always like doing these tweets where I post up kind of like my top 20 positions, and I give people some reasons behind a lot of them. And I'm probably in about 80 different cryptos right now that I'm in. But I would say, more than half of my portfolio is like the top 10 at this point.
Yes, don't, if you're new, don't be like us. I also have a
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
positions. Uh,
Yeah. I
do a
know.
little bit more focus so you don't get overwhelmed and drown. Don't
Yep.
start with 80 positions.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like the sickness of doing this
Yep.
like we do. It's just you want to own all these things.
You want to
Yeah,
catch
and
them
just
all. It's
you're
like Pokemon. I want all of them,
right. And in a second DJ Mine shout out on this podcast,
Uh-oh.
he told me about Clore early on. I think I put $1,800 into Clore, and it's
Ooh.
worth 60 grand today, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, pick things at the right time, hear it from the right person, mine it at the right time. It's kind of awesome. Looking forward to the next 9 to 12 months. You've said DePIN several times, so I guess that would be one of them. But along with that, what other narratives or sectors in crypto,
Hmm.
if you drill down, are you the most excited about, or that you think will perform the best?
Hmm. I do. So I do want to say DePIN I think is still exploding. Um, Especially with the cost of electricity. It is becoming harder and harder to do traditional crypto mining. DePIN is a fantastic avenue to go. I mean, my Helium radio uses like 60 watts. Barely anything. You got your DePIN, other items like Dymo that you plug into your car. Your Hive Mapper, like all these super low watt that are super profitable. So I think DePIN is definitely an avenue that you can go if you're like I was talking. I do consulting calls on the side. I know Andy, you do some of those as well. And I was talking with a guy from Southern California that just wanted to get into mining. Bless his heart, not realizing like when I asked the question of what is your electric rate, and he's like, I don't know. And I said, hey, I'm gonna guess it's probably 30 cents, but it was like, guess what? You have lots of opportunity because of that. We talked about hosting as an option for him as an investor. He could host them somewhere, gave him some great recommendations. But then I was like, hey, let's talk about DePIN. So he was unaware, talked all about it. And I'm like, these are fantastic opportunities for you. Low watts, you can really get into it. You can make some really good money. So I think for me, as we step into the next, as you said, several months, I think a lot of these projects, low watt, low power consumption projects, either if it's GPU mining or ASIC, and then to DePIN, I think based off the where the economy is now, it's going to be in huge demand, a huge demand. Because I mean, your operating cost is close to nothing, and so it's less money out of your pocket.
Yeah, I think DePIN is going to be huge, and a lot of DePIN is like super low power and super accessible. And what's so cool about it is a lot of the projects I've been in with DePIN are all things that have traditional analogs,
Hmm.
like we've talked about Hive Mapper.
Yeah.
Um, that's a technically a Google Street View competitor, but Google is this giant monolith, and to start doing their street mapping, they spent countless millions, I'm sure, to build these cars that are specialized to drive around. Instead, Hive Mapper designed a camera. Me and you, buy the camera. So it's actually, we're funding it kind of, but then we get paid and incentivized to drive around and map with that
Yeah.
camera. And we've been very, very generously rewarded for doing so.
Yep.
Or the other end of things like Flux or Clore or any of these
Hmm.
compute based projects, we either run a computer at home that's not like full on mining rig, maybe it only uses 200 watts or
Hmm.
something, not thousands, or we stand up a server online somewhere and we provide those resources to the network. And for putting in that time, effort, and money to do that, we get paid a reward for providing that network, that
Yep.
infrastructure. And I think that's just such a cool like alternative to, it's just a different aspect of crypto. And I think, I mean, I want to know some of your thoughts on the compute aspect, but I think that's going to be huge. I mean, it's got to be, that's a massive market fit, right?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where things are going. So it's actually pairing very well. You talked about compute and like AI resources or proof of useful work. Like that is very much the direction that we're going. Where it's like, okay, instead of having these companies buying these massive supercomputers or these universities, they're just utilizing thousands and thousands of these computers worldwide. And it's the same scenario. I'm being paid to participate. So, Flux, I know, is working on their proof of useful work project where it's like, hey, you can, opt into it. And when your hardware is needed, it goes over, it does the work. It could be a week, it could be a day, it could be a month. And then when it comes back and it's done the work, you get paid out in Flux. It is very much the same narrative of being paid to participate. Like they're just utilizing your compute power, which I think is fantastic. And that's becoming more and more in the direction we're going. As much as I want to say like traditional ASICs and things like that are like, they'll absolutely still be around during this bull run as we advance with technology and the direction that crypto is going. I mean, DePIN, as I talked about, is really just taking off. But between DePIN and these AI driven projects, that need our compute, that need our resources at home, I think that's really the next bull run. I think is going to be very much fueled off of that.
Yeah, I feel like there's loads of miners around the world who all are GPU miners that if at any point you say, hey, if you run this software to do these compute tasks or whatever, you'll actually get paid twice as much in profit every day than you would have if you were just mining crypto the way you've been doing it. Are you interested in this? And then they can turn around and then sell that compute and put a margin on it, make money on it. but still undercut all the mainstream people like AWS or Azure,
Oh yeah.
and they can sell it to companies for cheaper than they would be buying it elsewhere. So it's this crazy win-win scenario, and I feel like whoever cracks that nut first is gonna make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, crypto mining has really it's really expanded into a variety of different subsets. I mean, look at the last 3 years. I mean, nodes have really taken off. You and I both invested them, you significantly. And then on top of that, we talked about DePIN, talked about proof of useful work in there, but even DePIN's got so many other, think of it, camera you talked about. Helium 5G with cell phones. You got Weather XM for weather stations, like geo, like all. It's just it's so extensive that it's starting to segment into these different things. I was talking to Tech Hustler earlier today. He was at a IoT type of Internet of Things event for DePIN, an event dedicated to that. It was crazy to think that there's an event dedicated to that with thousands of people going to it. And it's just nuts to hear how much things have segmented off. So, I mean, crypto has grown this much now. Can you imagine 3 years from now how big it'll be?
Yeah, you just mentioned a few, but maybe we can mention a few more just for people who are curious listening and want to go
Yeah.
look some of these up. But we talked about like Flux and
Mhm.
Clore. These are some that are compute platforms. And I talk about Hive Mapper a lot because it's just an easy one to explain. But Demo is one that plugs into your car and takes your kind of car data. But you mentioned GeoDNet, which
Yep.
takes satellite GPS data and makes it more accurate. I just recently been playing around with Silencio, which is
Mm,
an app on your phone where you use the microphone. You get decibel readings in various places, and they can sell and use that
interesting.
data. There's Natix, which is like Hive Mapper, but you use your phone instead of a camera to use
Yeah.
this kind of driving around data. What are some other ones you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing is too is a lot of these projects I'm finding these successful projects are they're they're doing they have an objective. So if it's a camera or if it's weather or whatever you said, but then the secondary benefit of it is the crypto. The crypto is not the first thing, it's the secondary.
Yes.
And that's really what, as I talked about, paid to participate and things like that. And I think that's what it makes the barrier to entry very easy. You could, talk to a family friend and be like, hey, you can run one of these. Like we talked about, and we're talking a lot about, these Hive mappers and stuff. They should send us some free equipment. But
Right.
I know a lot of people that are truck drivers or delivery drivers that are running these things and they're making, as you said, $1,000 a week because it's just like, oh, I'm driving anyways. So I might as well, oh, I'm going to make crypto on the side and I have to do absolutely nothing, just manage the device type of deal. So there's a lot of great opportunity there, as we move down to the future.
Yeah, I've told people, yeah, if you're a truck driver or if you are a delivery driver or something like, or Uber driver or something, and you spend $300 or $400 on the dash cam, you spend $300 on the diagnostic port
Hmm.
device, the demo. I know there's another one. I always forget the name of it. It's Mapper or something. You plug
Yeah,
it
yeah,
in,
yeah.
something Mapkeeper or something. You run, one like Natix on your phone. You could have like 4 or 5 things going in your car
Yep.
that, I mean, so far, I don't make any promises for the future, but so far, if you've been doing that, you would have likely 10x
Hmm.
your normal earnings
Yep.
from doing whatever the thing is that you're doing in your car. It's like, in your total investment is $1,000 or something to get all those things up and running or something like that. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah, it's very much like looking at different income streams. As you're looking at that, as you said, your delivery truck driver, Uber driver, it's like a lot of these people have gone different ways. Like I know some Uber drivers have decals on their car that they're paid for, or they'll sell bottles of water or whatever in their cars. Like those are different income streams, great. But now it's like, man, just invest in technology and let these things do it for you. Little effort with high return. Which I think has been great. And I think that's something that we'll look to as we start to go down the road here, especially as we get into, more of these proof of useful work projects. What was the other one there? Dynex out there, very big on proof of compute, kind of going down the compute avenue. And they got a lot of stuff going for them as well. I mean, it's as many people say, it's like anything with AI involvement is doing very well right now.
Yeah. And a lot of these things you plug into your car or whatever, or run at your house, antennas you put up, weather stations you put up. Once you set them up, they're passive. That's the
Yep.
difference between like doing some of the other things you could do to have more income streams. These are actually hands off. Are you doing any compute or AI type stuff on your GPUs
Mm.
right now? And if not, when will you try that, or which direction will you go? What are you waiting on with that stuff?
Sure. So I thought about Vast when Vast was popping off during the bear market. People were doing pretty good with that. The only thing I didn't like about Vast was that it wasn't paying out in crypto. It was, I mean, you were literally getting paid out, in dollars, and some people were like, "Oh, that's awesome, I'll take it."
Dirty fiat.
I was like, "I don't want that dirty fiat." I was like, "Come on now, I want to pay it out in crypto. Like that's why I'm doing this." However, I did play around with Flux Core's platform. They are not ready for proof of useful work yet. When they are, I'd love to participate. It seems like the hardware for that, based off of just getting into some of their early testing, is very high. Like your hardware is in the same pool as people running like 54090s and things like that, which is pretty beefy in that regard. So something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I did do Dynex for quite a while. Had a lot of my hardware on Dynex. Dynex seems to have a lot of things going for them, which is great. So I've continued to build my bag. And I think only more recently did I take all the GPUs off of that, because I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable with my bag. Let's put these on something else.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, there's been a lot of really great bits of info and advice given throughout this entire thing that you can glean. But if you could solidify some of that as parting words to somebody who has either not quite jumped onto this whole crypto mining journey thing yet, or someone who's just in their early stages, as we embark on this next bull run, some just kind of last little bits of pearls of wisdom to give to them.
Oh man, watch all of Andy's videos. No. In all seriousness, no. I would say the biggest thing for anyone coming in or interested, or possibly slowly stepping in, it's definitely going to be patience. Crypto is not a pyramid scheme where you're coming in and 3 months later you're cashing out with 100 grand. The answer is that's not. Traditionally, that's not really going to be realistic. You got to play the long game, but like I say the long game, but it's really not. When you're looking at traditional investing with like long-term investments, like, oh, I've been sitting in Apple for 10 years. I don't expect you to be getting in on a crypto and then sitting on it for 10 years. It's more like hey, you may sit on it for maybe 2, maybe 3. It's really going to come down to what your kind of number is. So I think the biggest thing is for folks joining in is patience. It's like, this is not a get rich quick scheme. And so, spend what you can. Don't over leverage. Take your time, do what's best for you. Don't go buy hardware and then try to figure out, there's somebody I know who's very heavy into Instagram, bought 2 full-size ASIC miners, got them delivered, and then realized they couldn't plug them in and run them at their house because they didn't have the electric
Ooh.
for it. And that is a great example of like, don't just FOMO in real quick and then realize, wait, I can't run this. Like, this isn't going to work. So I think it's really do your research, take your time, don't over leverage, and be patient is kind of what I would, to sum things up.
I love it. And the real answer to where to go is watch Hobbyist's
Oh,
channel,
this guy. Okay.
because it is a great resource, and
Thank you.
you do cover lots of like basic stuff for newbies, as well as all the advanced stuff. But it's a really great place to go learn if you have never like investigated this
Yeah.
arena at all. But either way, I am very glad you spent some time with me to talk about all things mining and crypto. If you want to find out where Hobbyist is and what he's up to, I will link to all of his stuff down in the description. But thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Hobbyist.
Thanks for having me.